2010 census is just around the corner. Here to tell us how it affects our community, what we need to know about census takers, and what employment opportunities are available is Bob Canavello, manager of our local census office. Bob, thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, we always want to help get out good information. This is information that does impact our community. For those who don't know, how often is the census taken?
It's every 10 years, and fortunately, Thomas Jefferson back in 1790 picked the years that end in 0, so it's easy to spot.
Well, that's always a good way to keep track. So when will the actual 2010 census be taken?
We've already started. We've done some of the preliminary work, but basically spring and summer is when we do the actual count. The official census day is 1 April.
Well, I know it's obviously important just to have an accurate head count, but a lot of people may not understand how this impacts funding and other resources that are available to our community. Can you tell us a little bit about these other reasons why the census is so important?
Well, of course, the original purpose was to apportion Congress, and that was put into the Constitution. But over the years, as various federal programs have come to fruition, the people that manage those programs need some way to determine where the money goes. So the over $400 billion is allocated based on census numbers.
Well, I know at the Council on Aging, for example, some of the funding for our Meals on Wheels and our congregate meal sites is based on the population. So it is important that everybody get out there.
Right.
What are some misconceptions that some people may have and may be afraid or not want to participate?
Well, the biggest one is the Census Bureau is part of the federal government, and folks are afraid of where their information will go. But there are specific laws that protect census information, and a lot of people have asked me, why don't you just get addresses from the IRS? Well, we don't want to share information with other agencies. Everything that the Census Bureau collects is kept absolutely confidential for a period of 72 years.
Wow, that's a long time to keep that, so
right.
That is great to know. Well, what kind of questions is asked on the census?
The census form this time is short and sweet. It's just 10 questions: name, age, sex, ethnicity, race. That's about all that's on there. The questions about toilets and all that thing, they get that on a different survey. That's not part of the decennial census any longer.
Okay, well, 10 questions, anybody can certainly have time to do that.
Right.
Well, is this something that's going to be done by mail, or is this door-to-door? Tell us about the process itself.
The majority is by mail. Along the water, basically any place that ends in beach, at least in my 4 counties, we're going to do it the old-fashioned way, door-to-door, and that's just because of the nature of the housing that folks are, it's places where people aren't living the whole time of the year,
right.
or where the places are just empty and nobody's in them. The rest of the counties are going to receive a form in the mail, and those that don't send them back will get a list at a certain point, and we'll come back out and interview those folks.
So the majority of the people will get the mail version, and then
Correct.
They'll have a certain period of time to return that, and then if they don't, then they may see a door-to-door person.
Right, right.
Well, whether it's that case or in the case of the beaches, obviously everyone is concerned about security and knowing who's knocking on their door.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about how these people will be identified so that our viewers can be comfortable answering that door and answering those questions.
Well, to help them carry the paperwork that they have to bring with them, they're all issued a bag, and it says U.S. Census Bureau on the side of it. They also have an ID card, much like these, and they're slightly different colors based on their position, but the enumerator one is all in blue, and folks will be wearing that much like I'm wearing this one.
Okay. Are there certain questions that they will not ask? I've read somewhere that they will not ask about bank information, passwords, anything like that. Tell us a little bit about what some red flag questions might be, or just what your people will not be asking. Maybe
anyone that purports to be a census worker that asks anything financial is obviously not employed by the Census Bureau. So like I said, the questions on the questionnaire are just demographic data and one's name.
So there'd be no request for Social Security numbers?
Absolutely
or
not.
Just anything like that. So that would be a red flag. If somebody's uncomfortable, what should they ask that person, or is there a number they can call, or can they ask the person to return? What would you advise?
Well, if if the person doesn't show adequate identification, or if they're not sure that that's adequate identification, then certainly call the local census office, which is 208-7331, and ask. Now, there are other other employees of the Bureau of the Census that do things in the off years, as I like to call it. The American Community Survey is one. That's where all the questions on toilets and things like that have gone to. And there's some other surveys that, because the Census Bureau is the government's data collection arm.
Okay. Well, I'm sure it does take a lot of people to do this. I understand there's also some employment opportunities available. A lot of people are concerned in the economy, and a short-term job might be a great win-win.
Yeah, yeah. We're already starting to select the folks that are going to do along the water. I need to invite about 700 of those folks to training in the 4 counties, and also about May we'll do the non-response follow-up, where we go and get the folks that haven't sent their forms back in, and there's 1,400 of those folks to be invited to training, so it's a sizable workforce.
Yeah. Well, what kind of training do they receive?
They receive 4 days of training in basically what the census is all about and the specifics of their job, how to do the interviews and do the paperwork.
Okay. So if somebody's interested in possibly applying for one of those positions, what would you advise them to do? The
best thing to do is to call 866-861-2010. That routes to my office, and we'll explain the procedures, and there is a test involved, and they'll direct them to a place that's giving that test. Alternately, www.2010censusjobs.gov has information, and it also has a copy of the test, so you can practice the test and make sure you've as sharp as you can be when you show up to take it.
What kind of time commitment or length of employment are we talking about here?
It'll be March for about 2 or 3 months along the waterfront, May through into the summer for the non-response follow-up. So it's just a couple, 3-4 months, and on the non-response follow-up, you need to be there when folks are there. So it's usually a good part-time opportunity for folks.
Great. Well, part-time opportunities are great as well, and thank you for being here. Just remind us before we leave, when will these census papers start appearing in the mail?
Later part of March, they should be coming out. We want to get them to folks in time so that they have them on 1 April, because that's the day, as of day where you determine if somebody lives in this house or that house. So.
Okay, well, that is right around the corner.
That it is.
Bob, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Okay, my pleasure.
Thank you.